Hello, welcome to the ScanScore webinar. We're so happy that you made it today to join us. And there are some people in the chat already. Hi. If you like, you can quickly type where you are joining us from today. So we will see this is a really international webinar because we are doing this for the first time in English. And Belgium, Canada, USA, Austin, Texas, Barcelona. Wow, this is really from everywhere. England, Sweden, Tennessee. That's really nice. We started as a German company and now we have this international audience. So I want to dive right in into our presentation. So this is the ScanScore webinar, and a little quick words about myself. I'm Marvin. I'm product manager since last year and contact person for advanced topics related to ScanScore. And you may have seen me in advanced support tickets or in some videos. And a little bit about myself personally. I'm a multi-instrumentalist and singer and songwriter. I play keys, play guitar, and also saxophone. So I know how important it is sometimes to transpose something. And today we are going to show you some little things about ScanScore, what qualifies me to be here. So I studied to become a secondary school teacher in Germany, and I completed my bachelor's degree in music production in Berlin. And I will continue now with what we are going to do today. So the overview, we will talk about what is ScanScore. Then we will go into today's examples. We will be scanning and importing a piece, and we will also export it. And we will talk about the interface and the basics. And we will also transpose something. And a big step is editing and correcting. And afterwards, we will have a little question round, and you will get your discount of 25% for ScanScore. So before we get started, you don't have to take notes. This is being recorded and it will be available on our website afterwards. So 1 hour is not enough to cover everything. So I will not go into every button in detail, but yeah, you can also take a look at all the manuals and tutorials that are also being updated. And yeah, I plan to have a webinar series. And as new product manager, I want to have the customer relation and the development of ScanScore closer together. And so we can profit from each other. So I encourage you also to test every now and then the latest versions, because we are doing a lot of updates. We have a new AI engine that we want to feed with you, the customers. So the recognition gets better every time. Yeah, you can use a trial for 14 days. It is free, but you have limitations in export and in the playback. But if you have an annual license, you can have these limitations set free from yourself. And you also can get your money back within 30 days. So, but today I'm not only going to show you what ScanScore can do, but also what ScanScore cannot do, or what it has problems with. So what is ScanScore? To understand what ScanScore is, we have to talk about the Lugert Verlag, the Lugert publishing house. This is where we are currently in Germany. So the Lugert publishing house produces modern materials and webinars, and also congresses for music teachers in Germany, in Swiss, and in Austria. And you say Begeisterung für Musik means passion for music. So this is not only for music teachers, but for everybody who has passion in music. And the Lugert Verlag produces these materials for nurseries, elementary schools, and secondary schools. And the founder of the Lugert Verlag, Dr. Lugert, he developed ScanScore. And he academically revolutionized music education. So not only classical, but also popular music was topic in schools. So this brings us to the point what ScanScore is. As you can see here, we already see the interface. We have a split screen, but I will let somebody else talk about this, me from the past. Welcome to this ScanScore tutorial. In scan mode, your scanned nodes are displayed in a split screen. The scanned image file is on the left and the recognized nodes on the right side. The blue crosshair helps you to orientate yourself. On the left side of the screen, you see an overview of the scanned pages, and at the top, there are the menus for setting various options. To correct errors, ScanScore provides you with a whole range of intuitive editing options with the 6 foldable toolbars. For example, you can edit notes and rests, techniques and dynamics. Depending on what you need, the toolbars can be sorted by drag and drop. If you have any further questions, please visit our help page or send us an email. So, you have to know that Dr. Lugert's vision was to bridge the gap between traditional music education and modern technology. So a few decades ago, he released Forte. You might have heard of it. It's a notation software. And in 2018, we released ScanScore 2. And in 2022, we released ScanScore 3, which is the new flagship of the software department of the company. And here's a little video of the improvements of ScanScore 3. Welcome to this ScanScore. First, I'll show you the new property windows. With these, you can quickly fine-tune all parameters of your score, like texts, start tempo, how notes and rests are displayed, or the loudness of single dynamics. You can even define how long a fermata should affect the playback. If you are used to shortcuts of other programs, you can easily customize them by double-clicking. ScanScore 3 comes with an enhanced XML and MIDI export function. In the preferences, you can choose your favorite notation editor from the drop-down menu, and you'll be able to export XML files with a layout adapted to your particular program. Let's take a look at the biggest new feature, the score mode. Until now, ScanScore was a score scanning program that only allowed you to digitize and lightly edit scores. With the new score mode, you now have an advanced notation editor that gives you many more options than before. Finally, adjust the layout. Set up the score visually the way you need it for printing individual parts or for XML export. For this, you have a variety of different views at hand. In the new layout menu, you now can add system and page breaks, or define yourself how many bars per system you want. Many waited for this. Instruments can not only be changed or sorted, you can even add new ones and write your score for a new instrumentation. Another long-awaited feature is the possibility to either remove or insert bars and parts. Get creative and compose an intro to your scanned piece. Soon I'll tell you even more, so stay excited. ScanScore 3 is coming on the 10th of May. If you want to know more about our products, visit us at scan-score.com. So, as you have heard, there are 3 different versions. This seems a lot to know now, but we will take one step at a time. So, we have 3 versions. And every version is capable of the same things, but there's one big difference, the staves that you can scan per system. So we have ScanScore Melody that can scan 1 stave per system, so for example a lead sheet. And we have ScanScore Ensemble, and with that you can scan up to 4 staves. So it's good for piano arrangements. And ScanScore Professional has no limitations. As you can see here, you can save up to $20 with the scan code that I will give you at the end of this webinar. And this all might sound promising, but you might wonder, why should I use ScanScore if I have MuScore? And I'll tell you, one does not exclude the other. So ScanScore is designed that it can function independently. So it is designed so that you can have it interposed, meaning you can use it before exporting it to your known notation software. And if you think that functions like the score mode or all the layout things are too much, then it's okay. You can just go easy and scan something and export it to your known notation software. So today we will be covering also the scan mode mainly and not the score mode. This will be a topic for another webinar. And we'll take today's examples. We will scan a piece, a string quartet, and we will also export it as music XML to MuScore and also to Sibelius. And afterwards, we are going to look at a piece that is full of errors, because I know that many of you might have problems with editing and correcting. So we will dive deeper into this, and we will take a look at something that went wrong. It's not always golden and not everything is functioning. So let's dive in and we will take a look how it is supposed to be when it's clean. We have here, when we scan, when we start ScanScore, we have the scan and the score buttons, and we will use the scan mode today. And here we have 3 different options to scan something. We can scan from a physical scanner, and this option is currently under revision. So we have more options for you at a soon coming update. And most of the time you can have the device's settings that fit best. And also you have to check the Windows default printer settings. So there's a default printer setting in the Windows settings. So you can have Windows select your default printer for you. We can also import PDF and image files. So like JPEGs, BMPs, TIFF. And we also have an improved app currently. So formerly known as the ScanScore Capture app that had some problems. Last year, we released another app called the ScanScore Scanner. So you can also take photos from your smartphone and then upload them here. But today we're going to import a PDF. So I click here. And now I'm going to select the file, eine kleine Nachtmusik, a little night music by Mozart. So now this PDF is getting converted to an image. And we can now choose the pages we want to scan. For simplicity, I will scan the first page to show you. And now the pre-scan window opens. This is not the scan, this is the original, so we can take a look what will be scanned. And on the right side, we have the different options. For example, the auto threshold that is selected per default. So if I uncheck this, I can also manually change the contrast or the threshold, but you have to be careful with this because you see some parts get darker. But if you overdo it, then you might get an image that is not really good to be scanned. So always trust the auto threshold. We also have here rotation. So if your scanned piece is not really straight, we can move the slider here to rotate it gradually. Or we can use these buttons to have it rotated by 90 degrees. We can also select the page orientation, so portrait or landscape mode. And if your page is not in a standard size, you can also select auto size. We can also align the staves. This is something that we also currently work at. And we can apply this to all pages if we have more pages. But currently we can see on the left side, we have only 1 page. And in an update that will come in the next weeks, we also will have here some image editing functions like an eraser. For example, we will come to a piece later where you have some black lines here. So these elements make ScanScore crash, or it does not know what to do with it. So you could delete them easily. But we want to continue now with this. So we take a look what we have here. We have a string quartet. This is important because in the next step, we will be asked what elements we want to scan. So I click apply and continue. And we don't need to recognize lyrics for this example. So I will uncheck this. Recognize expressions. Yes, we will do this. Show chords. This means chord symbols, but we don't have chord symbols in this piece either. And text outside staves means, for example, if you have lyrics written beneath the staves, then you would check this. And also, ScanScore can automatically split voices, but we don't need this either. We will come to these points in the later examples. So I click OK, and the piece will be scanned. And it's done. It's already done. Nice. Now we see please enter tempo, 100 BPM, beats per minute. Here it says from the drop-down menu Allegro. We can also choose something different here. But as we see, Allegro was also here detected. So I press OK. So now I want you to concentrate first on the 2 sheets of music, and we will come to the other buttons later. So if I wanted to, I could also click here and press the space bar to listen to this. Yeah, sounds all right, right? That's nice. But now we want to learn how to navigate through the score. So you see I'm on a laptop, so I use my 2 fingers to move up or down or sideways. But if you have a mouse, you can also use the mouse wheel or these bars at the side. Now, we can also zoom with the 2 fingers. So if I go into a bar and I spread my fingers apart, then I can zoom into a part to see in the split screen and the crosshair where we are and to compare both sides with each other. So if you don't have a mouse or a touchpad, you can also use the zoom buttons. I will just briefly talk about the toolbars. You can find them up here. There are the zoom buttons. Also, we have here in the toolbars not only the 6 foldable toolbars that you have seen in the video before, we have also 2 modes we can select from. We have the select mode and we have the drag mode. And with the drag mode, if I click here, see my mouse is a hand. And if I hold my mouse, I can move through the document. And to switch into the selection again, I can simply press D. So I can select elements. So we now know how to navigate. So let's see how we can select things. It's easy to select something. 1 click is enough. So I can select a note and I can listen to the note. I will zoom in a bit more. And you can also select multiple elements. So if I hold Control, or if you're on a Mac command, you can select different elements. And then you could edit them further. You could place a dynamic on top of them all at once, not to have every single element place a dynamic element on. But you can also hold your mouse and draw a selection rectangle to select multiple notes. If you double click into a bar, then the whole bar is selected. And if I hold Control and double click, then all the bars from all the systems are selected from all the staves. And I can also have a selection of bars. So if I double click into a bar and hold Shift to click somewhere, then this selection will be selected. The same is also with Shift and Control. So I can select this whole section. Now, you could also select the staves. So if I click left beneath the clef, the whole staff is selected. And if I double click, then all the staves of the first violin are selected. Now we could listen to the violin only by pressing the space bar. This is good for auditory learning types. If you have students in lessons and you want to show them an instrumentation of a piece and to show them what instruments play. So let's listen to the violin. Yeah, this sounds good. So we can now also drag the notes to edit them. So if I select a note, I can have my mouse move it sideways, or I could move it also up or down to change the pitch. Also, you could use your arrows on your keyboard to move them. And if you hold Shift and press the arrows, you can move by an octave. This was requested by a lot of people. So this is the easy way to shift by an octave. So you could also use the left and right arrow keys to listen through the melody quickly. So you know which notes are correct or not if you already know the piece. Good, nice. So now we know how to select things, but there's also other things to select. For example, texts. Texts are also really important, especially when we come to lyrics later. You can just move a text by clicking on it, and you can also double click to change the text. There's one important thing that I want to show you that are the properties. With the properties, you can also change the size of texts. You can find them here in the window menu, or alternatively with Alt and P. And as you can see now, there are a lot of different things that you can do here. So you have the text type that is really important. I'll come to that in a minute. And you have the font that you can change, or you can make it a bit bigger. We can have it bold, and you can change many things more. But when you export something, it is really important that you pay attention to the text type, because the text type is also responsible for the anchoring of text elements. And so if you export something into another music notation software and it might be another text type, then it appears somewhere else than you intended to be. So here, this is perfect. It's a title. If I click here, I see this is a common text type, but I want this to be the subtitle. So this is saved also when exporting. If we take a look here on the right side, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, this is currently set as the subtitle, but I want this to be the composer, because the composer is always on the right side. So you could change these things also. I will delete this for now. And yeah, we can take a look at this. It looks pretty good. I want to quickly show you how you can transpose this now. So we have the organize menu. We can change instruments. You could change the sounds of the instruments, or you could change the instruments themselves. If you have transposing instruments, you can change the tempo and the key and the time signature. The time signature will also be important to change or correct things later on. But I think transposing is more changing key, right? So we click on change key. And now we can see G major, major and minor keys. We can switch from them. We have also a bar range. And I want to have this from the first to the last bar. And Important is that you check here note transposing. Now you could also choose if you want the notes to be transposed up or down, or if it's automatically. Also, chord symbol transposing is checked. We don't need this here, but it's good to have it checked. And I want to change all staves. But let's choose just the major. Move it to the side. Now pay attention to the notes and to the keys. The keys moved, and the notes also. Interesting, right? Now we have just transposed this whole score by some simple clicks. Now, I want to export this as a PDF file. So where we can export things is the File menu. Here we can also import other pages or save the project. It's always good to save something. We have also autosave function, so it will save every now and then. And we can export here as PDF or print. So I will click here, save export as PDF, and I will call this eine kleine Nachtmusik, meaning a little night music, and save it. Now I open the folder where I've exported it to, and we see the file here. I open it, and there it is. Nice. This is something that I could send to my colleagues, to my bandmates, or to print for rehearsing. But if you want to rehearse, you might not want to listen to all of the things at once. So I will talk now about the audio export. So the audio export is also adjustable. You can use also the playback feature, also here in the window menu. So I click on the playback. And now I can select the tempo. I could slow the piece down for practicing. I could also have a metronome playing. This is something useful to keep time. We can also select how loud instruments are. So let's say I'm a viola player and I want to hear my part louder than the others. So I go to the window menu and open the mixer. And here in the mixer, we have the name of the instruments and the volume. Let's lower the volume of the others. I could also mute them or solo myself, so I only can hear myself playing. And I can here select the MIDI channel. So if you're working with other MIDI hardware, you can also set this here. Here we have also the sound of this instrument. ScanScore normally chooses the sound font itself, but you could also change it here. We have here the stereo panorama that you can change. So if you want to place them somewhere else. And here we have another option of transpose. This means that you can just have the sound transposed, not the notes. So if you have transposing instruments or you have to change a clef, because if you change a clef in scan mode, this will not change automatically also the notes, because ScanScore thinks that the notes are recognized correctly. So you could also here change these elements. But if you're happy with the result that you have, then we can go to the File menu and export it here as MP3. So I say again, eine kleine Nachtmusik. Save it. And now I open the folder again where I exported it. Nice. Now this I could send to my bandmates again and also have practicing MP3s for the certain instruments. What you can also do if you work with other software like digital audio workstations is that you can have these files exported as MIDI. You can do also in the file menu. And then you could, let's say, just have this into Logic or in Ableton or somewhere else, and then have a new instrumentation, have other sounds played. I will show you this in this video. Simply drag and drop the MIDI file into the software. You see that also the instrumentation was imported. Now you could change the sampler instruments to any instrument that you want. You could change the style of the piece. If you have any further questions, yeah, you see you can do a lot with this. So you can edit it further however you want to have maybe your students more like classical music if you have it in a modern arrangement. So I see your questions, by the way. I have to show these things. So we will collect the questions, and some of these things we will also cover later. I see some things like chord symbols, and I will come to this in a bit. Just be a bit patient, okay? We first will show you also how to export these things as music XML. So, but speaking of audio and tweaking, one thing that is important for audio and music XML is taking a look in the preferences. So we will do this. Here in the options menu, we have the preferences. And here we have also the QR code that we can scan with our mobile app. And I want to see here these three tabs. There are currently three. We are working on more settings, but we will take a look at the audio and MIDI settings first, real quick. So you can change the master volume of ScanScore. If it's too quiet for you, you can turn the volume a bit up. And you can also use sound fonts. So just check this, and then you can select the sound font. And ScanScore comes also with a sound font, or you could change your different MIDI settings. We have another preferences tab called the text tab that is similar to the properties that I showed you. And I will talk about these also later because this is really handy. We can change the fonts of a whole text type all at once. So you don't have to go into it and say, I want this element to be this font or this size. You could change everything right here in a single click. But we will first take a look at the music XML export. Here in the Common tab, we not only have the default settings, what we are asked to scan, which elements, but we can also here set our default notation editor. So if I open this drop-down menu, you see some of the main notation softwares, but I could also use this here. So I could here select the file path, and then select MuseScore for this example. And what I can do now is simply click here on this button, for example, export to music notation software. And then with this click, MuseScore opens, and it will open my piece. And I could play it back here. And then edit it the way I want. The same will be possible also for Sibelius or for any other music XML application. I will do another method and go to the file menu and export it as music XML. Now it says the following measures have an incorrect number of notes. You might have seen this before. So you always have to fix these things, because if you don't, then the score might not appear as you want it to be. So I will go into correcting later. This is just a small thing to correct. But now I can export this as Music XML. Eine kleine Nachtmusik. Okay. Optimize Music XML for Sibelius. Yeah, sounds good. Now in Sibelius, I can go to File and say Open. And I select Eine kleine Nachtmusik. This is the best setting to open this. Nice. So this is how a clean version works. But I think most of you came here not only to see the basics, but also to see what else we can do. So I'm going to show you a bit of correcting, and there's a golden rule for myself or for everybody who uses the program. It's called structure first, details second. But we will first talk about the common error marks that happen in ScanScore. So I open this project. It's just page 2, where we have a good example for this. So we have blue arrow marks and we have green arrow marks. Blue arrow marks need to be fixed, but green arrow marks are good for you. They fill up elements that are not correctly recognized, but we will talk about this later. So it is really important that you fix these blue lines, because ScanScore is like a calculator. So it counts the note values, sums them up, and then the playback happens after this logic. So if you have too many note values, like the light blue dashed line here indicates, then the playback will just stop and skip to the next bar when the note values for this bar are full. So if I have 4/4 and I see here 4/4, then this will just stop here and not play the rest. This is really important when we come to fixing bar lines. So you always need to set the bar lines first. That's what I mean with structure first, details second. And I will show you this in the second example. So these light blue arrow marks indicate that we have too many note values. The dark blue arrow marks indicate that we have too less note values in the bar. And the number here shows us the voice where there are problems. And I will talk about this later, but one step at a time. I know it can be a lot. So we'll take a look and we'll play a little memory game. We'll take a look at this side and we'll take a look at the left side. And we see the first quarter note should be an eighth note. So I draw a selection rectangle around these notes. And now I use the note toolbar to select the matching note value. So I can go here and select the eighth note. And now this bar is clear. So let's go to this bar. What happened here? For some reason, these eighth notes should be quarter notes. So I could now go up here again, but I can also press the note shortcut for the note value, in this case, 4 for quarter. So press it. And this speeds up your workflow a lot more than just going up to these icons here. So these are the main error marks that you can fix. But I also heard a lot of people having problems with triplets. And thanks to our improving AI recognition, that I encourage you to also improve in future by sending us scores, that we can eliminate these problems. So, but if we have this example now, everything is correct besides the 3 was not detected. So I just draw a selection rectangle here. And now you see here in the node toolbar, this little 3. This is the tuplet button. I could also press 3 on my keyboard. So now we have this. I also do this here. I press 3 and the tuplet is set. In this case, a triplet. I can also double click on this to select a different tuplet. So we don't only have triplets, we also have quintuplets, everything that you can imagine. You can also set yourself a various number. You can also choose to show the tuplet or not to show them. You can choose how they will be displayed. So with a triplet wing or not with a triplet wing. And the triplet wings are mostly the problems because they appear in all different kind of shapes. And now you could apply this also to all tuplets. So every tuplet has this kind of combination. So this is also an important thing. We are going into the details a bit, but we will skip to the structure now in a second. But I want to show you one thing that I also mentioned in the support section often, are these things that are placed incorrectly, and we will also do another workaround for this. But you see the staccato points here. You can place not only notes, but also accents, techniques, and dynamics. But here we have accents and techniques. So I want the staccato points to be on the opposite side. What I can do is I go to the staccato and click it, and I click it again. And you see that they are now on the other side. And if you want them to be on the other side, you have to hold Control or Command, and then they appear on the other side. So this is a little life hack, but it's really important. So I hope this is a bit helpful for you. We can also ask you, what are you scanning scores for? What is your purpose for ScanScore? What are your main activities that you do as a musician? Change the key, community choir music, musicals, wow. This is nice. It's really a lot of different things to create rehearsal files for choir singers. We will do this also in the next webinar to have an improved function to have separated choir files. We can already do this in the score mode, but I will talk this another time because I want to show you now something that is not really good. So I close this and I scan this piece. This is a customer piece that I edited somewhere in the support. So it's always interesting what people send me, but you always have to take a look at the copyright things. But I just want to show you this because here we have also lyrics, we have chords, and this is where it gets interesting. Do you want to be asked for the name of the instrument all over the document? No, I trust ScanScore that it will select the sounds right for me. So in this document, my golden rule is really important. Structure first, details second. I will show you why this is important and why you should always check, is the key right? Is the time signature right? Because if the time signature is off, then you might have a lot of error marks. And if you select everything with Control and A, and then change the time signature, then you might have nothing to correct at all because only the time signature was wrong. Even sometimes for single bars, you always have to check this first if it apparently is okay at first sight. But now we have here a piece where we have also lyrics and chords. But we will not get into the details, as I said, but we check the structure first. So we have the key is right, yeah. And the time signature is also right. Okay, this is something good, but there's something above these things, this general structure of the document. So I will take a look at page 2. And if you use physical scanners, this can happen a lot, or if you have different threshold settings, that you have this, a black line here, a shadow from a page that is slightly turned. And this can confuse ScanScore a lot. So this is why we will include the image editing functions. And as you can see, this is a 3-staff system, but it was detected as a 6-staff system. So these 2 separate systems were combined into one system, and also this black line confused ScanScore completely. So the bar lines were not set. So I will show you how to fix this now. First, we will split these things, and we have a new feature for this. I will show you in the Organize menu, the Organize Staves function, because here we can not only select how graphical connections are set for like braces or brackets and everything else, bar lines also between some staves, but we can also go deeper and change the whole structure of the document. So I go to connect or disconnect staves, and this is new. This is our system editor, and it will also come in handy later for orchestral scores if you have not only all instruments displayed at a time, so you can change which instrument belongs to which staff. So, but I want to have this system split. So I go to here, piano, this staff, and I could move it up, I could move it down, but I want to do a system split. And now this is already fixed. I can choose apply, and you see this problem was solved. Now what I want to do is to set the bar lines correctly. So as I have said before, otherwise if you would play this back, you've seen it was only played till here, where the bar line should be, and then it jumped to this point. This is because the whole bar line is missing. So I go to the bar lines and repeats toolbar. And here you can set bar lines. You can change what bar line it is. You can select volta brackets, and you can also set coda signs for and senu. This is an important button for senus. But here I will use measure bar split, the first one, and I will place it here. And the bar is split. Now I'll take a look. Here I will also need to do a split. Nice. You see some of the bars are corrected through this. Now, before we continue with the chords and the lyrics, I want to quickly show you the voices that are also really important. Because as you can see here, we have something different. We have different voice layers, and we can choose them here. We can, in the notes menu, we can switch to voice 1, alternatively with control and 1. And all notes that are belonging to voice 1 are now displayed, and the others are grayed out. So I can take a look. What is wrong with this here? Every notes are summed up individually in the voice layer. And we quickly see that there is a note missing here. So a lot of people think, okay, I will insert a note, but this is not working currently because as you can see, we have a light blue arrow mark. I cannot insert it because we have already too many note values. So what I have to do is to fix these things first. I have to see these are quarter notes. So, and also this quarter note is a dotted quarter note. So it's even a higher note value. So I click on this dotted quarter note and I select the dot here. Alternatively, I can press 5. And then this is not a dotted quarter note anymore. So I select the rectangle here and I press 8. And now I have a dark blue arrow mark. So I can insert a new 8th note. So here in voice 2, I click Control and 2 to show voice 2. There's also one note missing. So I press 2 to select the half note. And then I will click here to insert it. Easy. Once you get the hang of it, it is really okay, doable. But at first sight, it might be really frustrating to see there are so many error marks. I don't want to use this. But I always say you don't get into a car without a driver's license. So here in this example, we have something in voice 2. So I switch to voice 2. And we see, only the quarter rest is here. So I will press 4 to insert a quarter note here and another quarter note here. I press escape because escape exits every editing mode. So we are back to selection mode. And you might think now, okay, fine, but the stem is in the other direction. So I select this and I go to the notes menu. And then I can change the stem direction here. Control D is the shortcut for this. Always work with shortcuts. It makes life easier. Good. Now we still have a half note rest missing. I could now go into the note toolbar and select the half note. By the way, here is the multi-measure rest for some people that have missed it. I know that some people always ask for this. But I select the half note rest, but I could also use a shortcut Shift and 2. Shift is also for the rest. So I can place it here, click, and drag it to the position where I want it to be. Good. Now, these little things, these green elements are filled up into voice layers if there is a shared voice. So we are also working on shared notes. So you can say, even if the voice splits it apart, but at the other part of the bar, it is unisono, that these belong to a shared thing. But now, currently, they are filled up with green elements. So what we can do here is it is correctly filled, but we have here a little 2. Move this away a bit, and it's a duplet. So I'll delete this, but now there are 2 less notes in the bar, meaning I have to select this in voice 2 and set this as 8 notes. And also I will do these as grace notes. I will place it here and select grace note. And also I can connect these in the notes menu by saying group beams, separate. I could separate them, or I can group them. So I want to group them. And I want to change the stem direction. You remember, Control and D. Now you see there is something else here with this thing. So I open the properties. And here I can also change the grace note type. What we can also do with the properties is text. Now we come to text and lyrics real quick, because it's a bit far in the time. Chords are always anchored to the staff below, normally, if they have been recognized correctly. If I double click here, I can see the chord window opens where I can determine what chord it is. And lyrics are always anchored to the notes or to the staff here. If this, in this example, the whole layout was destroyed, so you have always to make sure that all the lyrics are anchored correctly. Otherwise, when you export it, then it will be a mess. This is really important. We will also include an anchor symbol, so you can view all anchors at one time, just like we can do with selection. So I can also select all lyrics here in the view menu and say text. And I want to select all lyrics. So I know here, okay, all lyrics are displayed. And this is a problem here. You see this chorus? Chorus is set as a lyric element. This means this chorus that belongs to this staff is connected to this staff that has nothing to do with it. So this means if I wanted to export it, then it would be completely at the wrong place. So what can I do? I can move it. I can move it with held Control key to change the anchoring. But I could also do something else. I will show you in this backing example. I open the properties and I change the text type from lyric to common. So if I double click, the whole text appears. And now the common anchoring is at the position where it's supposed to be. I can also add chords by clicking C, and I say D. And let's pretend this C would be, this chorus would be a C chord, yeah? This is important that you change this to a chord symbol. You can do this by right-clicking, and then you can say at the bottom, switch to chord symbol. Now you can hold Control and move it down here. This is important if you transpose a score and you want to transpose the chord symbols. But if it's a normal text, it will not be transposed, the chord symbol. It will stay a normal text. So quickly, once more here with the lyrics, I can double click the lyrics and I could change them. I can move to the next syllable with a tab. So I can write notes here and move them correctly. And I can also change the position. If I double click here, you see these little numbers. And this is a whole text line. So if I hold this and move it up or down, you can make more space for the notes, for the text, for the lyrics. And also, if you have to big text, that's why I told you in the beginning with the properties, you can change single text elements, but in the preferences, I can go to the text tab and I could select text type, lyric, and change the whole size of the text. So you can see it gets smaller. Also, sometimes it helps to change the character spacing, -1. So they shrink a bit. And this also helps to make text better readable. So these are the basic and advanced editing techniques. I would tell you more soon, but we will do some more webinars and the time has come to an end. It's an hour already, but I hope you have learned some things. And I hope that you will have less frustration while scanning your scores, or you might now maybe know a bit how to help yourself. I'm always here to help yourself also. So if you have problems, you can send them in the support. Also send your scores that you have problems with recognition. Send them to our support section with a subject recognition. So our AI developer can train on that. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to collect some scores, and then we will feed our AI training database. So it will get better and better in time with your help. And I'm looking forward to have a closer customer relationship with you. And yeah, you all waited for this. Don't leave. You can get a ScanScore discount with this scan code, SCAN25. You can find on YouTube also the tutorials how to proceed to the discount and to the checkout. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. If you have some issues or questions for the next webinar, you can send them in also now in the chat. And I hope this was really helpful for you. The discount will be until this Sunday, 23rd. So yeah, it's really good to hear that a lot of you have now a better understanding, because I know if you open something for the first time and you see a lot of error, things happen and you don't know where to start. And even if you know how to start, you don't know where you should start first. So first structure, details second. Good. So thank you. Thank you for participating today. English is not my native language, but I hope you understood everything. And yeah, you can send your messages in the chat. But I'll say goodbye for now, and we'll do more webinars quarterly. And I hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.